Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 3 and we are going to present the freedom of religion and its application in Malaysia. The presenters gonna be Nur Kamarina binti Razaman, Nurlina Aika binti Misli, Husna binti Muhammad Fauzi and Hati Farhani binti Ladiro.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Husna binti Muhammad Fauzi. My matric number 1211716. Now I want to present the definition of religious freedom. First of all, the term religion derived from the Latin religare, which means to tie, to bind tightly. Many people prefer this derivation because it explains the power religion has over people and the societies in which they live. Religion is frequently, but not always, linked to a specific system of belief and worship of a transcendent deity or deities. Religious and non-religious belief provide hope and comfort to billions of people around the world, and they have enormous potential for peace and healing. However, they have also been a source of considerable stress and strife. The ongoing effort to guarantee freedom of religion of belief in the context of international human rights exemplifies this intricacy, as well as the challenge of defining religion and belief broadly enough. Religious liberty is a fundamental right protected by the Federal Constitution. All human beings and religious communities have the same freedom to freely practice their belief. It is an expansive right that is universal, broad and deep, given its significance, relevance to the creation of Malaysia and to human happiness, yet it is not absolute. The Federal Constitution, as well as the legal underpinnings of the well-ordered political community, contains a presumption in favor of religious liberty, and the government must bear the burden of rebutting the presumption. The right to believe or not believe in religious truth is included religious liberty. If one does not believe that one's right to free speech, expression and assembly who are wholly protected by the Constitution, if one does believe, however, that an individual has the freedom to live his or her life in accordance with religious belief, free of excessive coercion from any human agent, particularly the government, and in community with others.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hati Farhani binti Ladiro and my matric number is 1211717. Today I will be presenting about fundamental liberties in Article 11. What is fundamental liberties? Fundamental liberties are the right and freedom for all human beings. Fundamental liberties has been stated in Article 5 to 13 of the Federal Constitution, and because of this, they are said to be guaranteed and cannot be taken away unless the Constitution itself allow it. There are few rights and freedoms that have been stated in Federal Constitution, such as liberty of the person, prohibition of slavery and forced labor, equality, freedom of speech, and many more. And one of them is freedom of religion, which is stated in Article 11 of the Federal Constitution. Article 11 of the Federal Constitution has 5 federal laws may control or restrict the propagation of any religious doctrine of belief among Muslims according to state law and in respect of the federal territories of Kuala Lumpur, Labuan and Putrajaya. However, there is freedom to carry on missionary work among non-Muslims. However, there are an issue arising from Article 11 Clause 4 restriction that state law may prohibit the propagation of other doctrine within Islam itself, such as the Shia doctrine. Tun Muhammad Saleh Abbas has argued that the restriction is logical because it is related and naturally follow the fact that Islam is the religion of the Federation. Most Muslims in this country follow the Sunni, which is only recognize the teaching of four specific school of thought and consider other are contrary to the true religion of Islam. The aim is to limit the practice of Islam in the country to the Sunni only, and state legislative assembly and parliament with respect to the federal territory are empowered to pass law to protect Muslims from exposure to the heretical religious doctrine.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurika Marina binti Razeman and my matrix number is 1211710. I'll be talking about the application of Article 11 in Malaysia. The application of this article may be analyzed by studying some of the religious cases. Another case related to freedom of religion in Malaysia is Rosliza binti Ibrahim's case. The plaintiff was born and raised as a Buddhist by her Buddhist mother. The plaintiff is an illegitimate child as her parents were not yet married at the time of her birth. Her father, Ibrahim, submitted an application for her identity card on behalf of the plaintiff. Ibrahim stated that the plaintiff's religion is Islam. As the plaintiff is an illegitimate child, she argued that the religious status of her putative father, and as a result, she contended that her putative father's religious belief could not be considered in determining her own religion. She did not adopt her father's religion and was never raised as a Muslim. According to item, she is not a person who practices Islam. The religion of her father cannot be related to the plaintiff under Section 111 of the Islamic Family Law 2003. This simply means that the plaintiff would not inherit her Muslim father's faith. The plaintiff won the 6 years legal battle to be recognized as a non-Muslim after the highest court allowed her bid. As well as that, Lina Joy's case is another apostasy case to be discussed. Lina Joy, or Azina binti Jalani, was born and registered as a Muslim. The plaintiff was raised in Islamic surrounding as both of her parents are practicing Islam in their life. She then made second application to National Registration Department to change her name to Lina Joy and another application to remove her Muslim status at her new identity card, but the application were rejected as the application were incomplete because it needed the order from the Sharia court. Any Muslim remains a Muslim even though he or she already renounced from religion or has been going through baptism ceremony, as the validation of the conversion can only be decided by the Sharia court. As for Lina Joy's apostasy case, the application made was said to be dismissed with cause. Conversion to Islam is mainly controlled by List 2 of the 9th Schedule of the Federal Constitution. Then, it is governed by another two statutes, which are the State Administration of Islamic Law and Enactments and the State Rules and Regulation of Muslim Conversion. In order to convert, there are two requirements that need to be met, which are age qualification and a sound mind person. As for age qualification, there are two categories, which are the age of majority, which is baligh according to Islamic law, and the age of majority, which is 18 years old. The first category is said to be at least 15 years old. The failure to meet these requirements means the need to obtain the consent of the parent or guardian in order to convert to Islam. Conversion of minor to Islam is either by minor's own will and initiative or the result of the parent's conversion. Parent or guardian who has the custody of the minor need to give consent if the infant wants to embrace Islam. Conversion of minor to Islam will be further explained through some cases related. One of the cases is Teo Ing Huat versus Kadi Pasir Mas and Anwar. A girl named Susi Teo embraced Islam when she was 17 years and 8 months old without the consent of her parents. Her father sought for an application to the High Court for a declaration for his right as her parent for the religion and the upbringing of his daughter, and claimed that the infant's conversion was invalid. The father then appealed to the Supreme Court. By the time the case was brought to the Supreme Court, her daughter was already 18 years old, where she can determine her own religion without the consent or permission of her father. As a result, the Supreme Court has to dismiss the declaration which the father sought of. In addition, Susityo was converting to Islam on her own will even since she was still a minor. While the conversion to Islam for Susityo case was made of her own will, there is a case where the minors convert to Islam due to the parents' conversion to Islam. It is Shamala Sati Yasinan versus Dr. Jayaganesh Magaraja. In this case, the plaintiff is the wife while the defendant is the husband. The plaintiff made an application to the High Court to declare that the conversion of their minor children was invalid, as she claimed the equal right as the lawful mother of the children to determine their religion. Briefly, the husband and the wife, or both the plaintiff and the defendant, were married according to Hindu rites lawfully. The husband then decided to embrace Islam and convert two of the minor children to Islam too, without the knowledge and the consent of his wife. And when the plaintiff found out, she went to the High Court to make an application regarding on this matter. In Article 12, Subject 4, it states that the parents or the guardian of minor can decide the religion. The fact that the Article 12 uses the phrase parent instead of parents demonstrate that a single parent is enough to make the religion conversion of the minor to be accepted. The decision for this case summary is the application of the plaintiff is said to be dismissed. That's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nadiana Aika binti Misli. My matric number is 1211715. Today I want to explain about the real life situation cases during pandemic in Malaysia. At this time of pandemic, various issues are coloring our country even though the Malaysian society is still confined at home with the limitation of physical activity. It's awkward, but we have no choice as long as a vaccine is not found and accepted. The most effective method of preventing COVID-19 infection is by performing self-isolation. Our movements are blocked and restricted. People become restless, angry, and some are depressed by this new norm of life. In this situation, the responsible government will perform its functions of ensuring that the people are safe. The COVID-19 as we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic is a life-threatening global crisis. It requires extraordinary measures that should limit fundamental freedoms. Nevertheless, governments across sectors need to comply with worldwide human rights requirements and human rights territory, including freedom of religion. Religion is one of the most effective forces in human civilizations. It fulfills our deepest desires and display our personal longings. In addition to legal and administrative restriction, there has been an increase cases where minority religious communities were responsible for the epidemic. There is some countries such as India, Myanmar, Australia, and United States. Religious and cultural minorities are persecuted and slandered. Politicians and religious extremists in this country took advantage of this COVID-19 tragedy to incite hatred against minorities and religious groups. We have heard from some believers that they reject this restriction, and that is because they fear God more than COVID-19. I consider it reckless and irreligious to confront God with science and with heartless contempt for the inevitable loss of human life. All religions teach about the importance of helping others to save lives and not endanger oneself. On the other hand, we cannot use religious freedom as an excuse to break the law and ignore government COVID-19 restriction. There are some countries that still maintain to emphasize rituals, mass ceremonies, and gatherings that emphasize collective close worship, to contact, hold hands, share fellowship, and touch non-secular objects. But Malaysians have maintained a moderate level of the discipline as an alternative. as in the month of fasting of Muslim. Tarawih prayers every night in the mosque are not performed, as well as the celebration of Aidilfitri. It is respectfully submitted that the immediate avoidance of ritual practice now will not weaken religion if we emphasize spirituality. Besides that, there are three aspects that never denied by international norms concerning to religious freedom. First, it is deeply rooted in faith. Second, it is universal in nature. And third, it is timeless in its existence. But like all other rights, it is not absolute. Religious freedom is classified normatively as a freedom that, like all freedoms, which is subject to many restrictions, such as others' right to life or health. In Malaysia, the new Prime Minister announced a movement control order MCO on March 16. It is logical because if PKP is not implemented, COVID-19 will spread uncontrollably because those infected will transmit the virus through normal social interaction. The restriction and movement control is imposed on the people is the ban on gathering in groups for any activities or events that are not important to life. These include gathering at religious places of worship. Because of that, all religious sites were closed while the PKP was implemented. Based on data issued by the Ministry of Health Malaysia (MO), from time to time, the spread of this COVID-19 epidemic turned out to be trigger a high level of fear and anxiety. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has announced an extension of the term of the control order movement. Because of that, the postponement of mosque and surah activities, including Friday prayers and congregational prayers, were also extended until the end of the PKP period. Here, it is clear that the ban of any activity mass gathering, including Friday prayers, throughout the period of the movement control order is for the sake of the welfare of the people.
So, in conclusion, man's right to religious freedom has already been embraced and validated by humanity's collective consciousness. If core human rights of freedom of belief and practice are to be preserved, all assumptions of what constitutes religion must be abandoned. Just as researchers have come to realize the present diversity among religions in today's society, religion, like other social phenomena, can take numerous forms in a culturally varied environment. The application of notions drawn from any one particular tradition cannot identify what constitutes a religion. Only a higher level of abstraction superordinate to each other, to each culture and religion, can capture the spectrum of diversity of actual religious movement within a single frame of reference. The probabilistic inventory in section 11 was proposed to achieve this goal and in interest of fairness in religious transaction. Only with such a system, purposely created both to recognize the evolutionary nature of religion and to subsume the numerous dimensions of thinking and practicing under autonomous categories, is it likely that the enormous variety of contemporary religion will receive the attention it deserves. Luckily, in Malaysia, Islam is the official religion of the Malay people. However, the other religions can also be practiced peacefully within the confines of established legislation.